they've blown up some railroads and some infrastructure trying to get South Africa's attention. Demonstration wouldn't work, the legal approach would not work. They were moving to blowing up a hospital or a school. He said he's so glad that they were caught. Because he would rather spend 20-something years in jail than have had the innocent blood on his hand. So that shows to me the soul of the man.
And I want to get your thoughts as someone who has walked among civil rights giants, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., and of course Nelson Mandela. I think you last met with him in 2010. How aware were the two of them to each other's struggles and their roles in those struggles?
You know, Dr. King went to jail in '63, and so did Nelson Mandela. Dr. King, in his Nobel Prize address, referenced the struggle in South Africa and the kinship between American corporations and South Africa and our government. That was a part of it. But also, the things that we did here enabled Mandela's freedom. For example, the 65 Voting Rights Act changed the course in this country. Blacks could vote for the first time in the South. White women could serve on juries. 18-year-olds could vote on campuses, could vote bilingually. And out of that came a struggle politically that enabled us to declare the sanctions on South Africa, led by Congressman Ron Dellums. And so it seems to me that our struggle and their struggle coincided very well.
We appreciate your thoughts on this day, remembering Nelson Mandela. Reverend Jesse Jackson, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
I'll see you before the week is over.
All right. Look forward to it. Let's head back to New York now, and Erica.
All right.
Yeah, hey Morgan, we showed you earlier outside the house in Johannesburg how there's not a lot of sadness out here. There's not a lot of mourning. You might be able to hear there's some drums right behind me. There's a bunch of girls dancing and in colorful costumes and drummers outside the house where he moved right after he was released. And the reason that is that there's a sense of appreciation here. There's a sense of thankfulness for how he transformed this country, how this country is much more integrated, much more open to all people right now than it was before he got on the scene. Now, of course, South Africa is nowhere near perfect, and a lot of people here talk to me about the personal struggles that they continue. A lot of people here say, I was inspired by Mandela, or I talked to Mandela once, and I'm going to continue his struggle. And it's really an inspiration to be here for all of us, to hear that his legacy is really taken personally in every single South African whom I've met over the last few days.
And Nick, on a personal note, how do you feel? I mean, we're watching all of these people packing the streets to pay tribute. And Soweto, it looks like you might be in Orlando West there. And Soweto's a pretty special place. I remember walking there a couple of years ago, and a little boy ran up to me and said, "Welcome to Orlando West." You know, how are you feeling? Are they welcoming you?
It's extraordinary. Of course they'll welcome me. I mean, on the one hand, it's a bit of a tourist attraction right now. There's guys selling ice cream. There's people in the street dancing. There's a couple of boxers talking about how Mandela used to be a boxer. But really, on a personal level, just to cover this story, especially outside the house last night in Johannesburg, it's very moving. It's a real privilege, to be honest. And we don't really talk about this because we don't have the time. But it's a real privilege to cover this story. I mean, this man was so important, not only to black South Africans, not only to white South Africans, but to the entire planet, to me as a child, being inspired by him. And it's really something to come out here and see, as I said, every single person I've spoken with, every single person on the street, whether it's Soweto or Johannesburg or watching at TV and home, really has a sense of what Mandela meant to them, what Mandela meant to their notion of their lives, what they could do with their lives. And that, of course, affects me. And I would like to think that